All right, let's get into it. We are digging into a historical claim that is so fascinating it sounds like something out of a movie. The idea is that proof of the biblical crucifixion isn't just buried in the Middle East, but that it was recorded in real time in the official imperial archives of China's Han Dynasty, thousands of miles away. So we're going to crack open these ancient records and see what's actually there.
Okay, so let's start with the big question, the one skeptics have been asking for centuries. And honestly, it's a fair one. The Gospels say the sky went supernaturally dark for hours. If something that dramatic happened, you'd think someone else would have written it down, right? I mean, where are the records from Rome or Egypt or China?
Now, the source we're looking at today argues that to even begin to understand the astronomical proof, you have to rewind the clock way back. It suggests that there was something unique about ancient Chinese culture that prepared them to understand the meaning of these signs in the heavens.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The claim is that for thousands of years, way before Taoism or Buddhism ever showed up, ancient China was basically monotheistic. They worshipped one creator god they called Shangdi. But look at the parallels here. A single, supreme creator, a spirit with no physical form, no idols in the temple, and the requirement of animal sacrifice to atone for sin. It's almost a mirror image of the worship described in the Old Testament.
But it goes deeper. The source suggests this ancient connection isn't just in their religion, but it's literally encoded, hidden in plain sight, within the brushstrokes of the Chinese language itself.
And check this out. For example, the Chinese character for a large boat, or a vessel. It's made of 3 smaller symbols, one for a boat, one for the number 8, and one for mouth, which also means person. So, a vessel with 8 people? Exactly how many were on Noah's Ark? Or how about the word for temptation? It's literally a picture of 2 people under a cover of trees with the symbol for the devil right there. It's pretty wild.
But of all the characters, the source points to one as the most incredible, the word for righteousness. To really get it, we have to take it apart piece by piece, just like they would have. So, the symbol you see on top, that's the character for lamb. Simple enough. And the character on the bottom? That's the symbol for I, or myself.
So you put the two together, and the ancient Chinese picture for righteousness is literally the lamb over me. Think about that for a second. The source argues this is pure theology baked into a language. A person is made right only when they are covered by the lamb. Okay, so with that cultural groundwork, let's switch gears and look at the astronomical evidence. But first, you gotta ask, right? How do we know we can even trust these star charts from thousands of years ago?
Well, you see, in ancient China, astronomy wasn't some quiet academic pursuit. It was a matter of national security. The emperor's very right to rule came from what they called the mandate of heaven, and the stars were heaven's message board. So they had scholars watching the sky 24/7. And if you missed something or you got a prediction wrong, the punishment could be death. So yeah, when they wrote something down, you can bet they were absolutely sure it was real.
So now, look at this timeline. Right around 5 BC, which is when most historians date the birth of Christ, the Han Dynasty records a brand new star, but here's the key detail. They note that it was visible for more than 70 days. Now, why does that matter? Because as the source points out, that's almost exactly how long it would take for a caravan, say a group of magi, to travel from the east all the way to Jerusalem.
And that brings us to the main event, the darkness at the Crucifixion. Now, skeptics have a knockout argument here, and it's based on basic astronomy. Jesus was crucified during Passover, and Passover is always celebrated on a full moon. A regular solar eclipse, where the moon blocks the sun, can only happen during a new moon. It's physically impossible for a solar eclipse to happen during a full moon. Game over, right?
Well, not so fast. Because on the very day that corresponds with the crucifixion, Chinese astronomers recorded this. They used the word eclipse, but their description is, well, it's bizarre. They said the sun and the moon were veiled together, and everything went dark. This freaked them out, because it wasn't a normal eclipse. It was some kind of supernatural event that defied everything they knew about how the heavens were supposed to work.
You can imagine how the emperor, Guangwu, reacted to this. This impossible event in the sky was a terrifying omen. He believed heaven was furious, and he had to do something immediately to calm the population and, more importantly, appease heaven. So he issues an official empire-wide decree. And in that decree, he writes this line. Just let that sink in. The source argues that at the very moment of the crucifixion, a pagan emperor 7,000 kilometers away who knows nothing about a man on a cross writes a perfect one-sentence theological summary of substitutionary atonement. And it didn't stop there.
The emperor's first act was to declare a general amnesty, a pardon for all criminals, as if he sensed that some great price had just been paid. And then, you can't make this stuff up, exactly 3 days later, his astronomers record another bizarre phenomenon, a radiant, rainbow-colored halo around the sun, which just so happened to be the traditional Chinese sign of reconciliation between heaven and earth.
So, we've gone from ancient Chinese writing to imperial star charts. It's an incredible trail of clues for sure. But the source argues this isn't just a fascinating history lesson. It's a story that's coming full circle right now, in our time. According to the source, Christianity is seeing absolutely explosive growth in China today. By some estimates, there are now over 100 million believers. To put that into perspective, that's more people than there are members of the ruling Communist Party.
But for so many of these new believers, this isn't about adopting some foreign religion from the West. They don't see it that way at all. The source says they see it as a homecoming. They believe they are returning to the true ancient faith of their ancestors, the worship of Shangdi, a faith whose story, they argue, was written in their language and in their stars all along.
So the whole thing leaves us with this one last, pretty profound question. If God really did leave these kinds of historical, spiritual fingerprints in the archives of a pagan empire on the complete other side of the planet, what might you find if you started looking that closely at the details of your own story? What signs might be there just waiting to be discovered?